All right, we have Dustin Jacoby back on the show. He returns to the hallowed UFC Octagon for the first time in almost 9 years on Halloween. He takes on Justin Ledet. Dustin, good to see you, man. How are you?
Good, man. Training's going well, and I'm excited for Halloween this year.
There you go. How is obviously you have a fight coming up, but how's the golf game these days? I mean, there's still very few feelings in the world better than hitting a good golf shot, right?
100%, man. I've been playing. I haven't been playing as often. September hit, and I started chasing elk in the mountains. Archery elk season, and I think I played one time in September, a couple times, this month. But it's slowed down. But we're going to try to get out this weekend. But it's supposed to snow here on Sunday. There's higher than 60% chance. So I think golf season's kind of winding down. But I always usually get out in December.
There you go. Yeah, I think the latest I go, because we're in Massachusetts, we try to get out the day after Thanksgiving because nobody's out there. It's always 30 degrees. It sucks, and you can't putt for anything, but it's still fun.
You got to want to be out there.
For sure. So we spoke right after you got the contract back to the UFC on the Contender Series, and you said that regardless of what Dana White or anybody else said, you knew that someday the second chance with the UFC would come. So as you're preparing for this fight, how would you say this camp compares to maybe the Contender Series one? Is there a different kind of nerves, or is this just another camp for just another fight?
You know what? Honestly, I don't feel any nerves. I feel I'm just anxious. I'm ready to go out and perform. And I felt that way, dating back 7-8 fights ago, 2016-ish is 2016, 2015, 16 is when the nerves kind of went away, and I was more just ready to go out there and perform and just showcase all of the hard work and that's being done in the gym and in the dark and, ready to perform under the lights. So no nerves, man. I'm feeling excited. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put on a good performance. I know I'm more than ready to step in there. I'm prepared, and now it's time to execute.
How would you compare it to the first run with the UFC in those two fights? What was the feeling like in those camps? I know you've got so much more experience now than you did then. You've gone through so many different levels of combat sports and all in this different road that you're on to get you to where you're at. But how different was it back then?
Oh yeah, it's night and day difference, man. Back then, a lot of emotions would be into it. And I've learned that, too much emotion is not a good thing. You want to be a little, I'm usually a little emotional, but if you fight on emotions, it's never a good thing. And back then I always thought I was ready. I'd get real pumped up, and I thought I had to get myself mad or angry or psyched up, and now it's more of, it's my job. This is what I do for a living. And I train daily, I prepare daily. So it's an opportunity to go out there and execute. Whereas in the past, I was just I don't know, I guess looking at it now, kind of walking blindly, so to speak. I mean, it sounds weird, but I feel like I was preparing properly back then, but nowhere near what I do these days. And you just get much more comfortable in there. And like I said, I'm excited to go, perform.
It's kind of a freeing feeling, I guess. You're getting in there and about to throw punches and receive punches from another human being in a locked cage, but it's got to be more freeing than it felt maybe 8 years ago, right?
100%, man. It's so much. And everything about it, the fight week back then. I remember my first fight in Vegas, and all of my friends and family were there, and they were going out and having fun each night, and I would want to be with them and not realizing the task at hand and, the opportunity that I have in front of me. And I think that this time around, it's really going to show. I'm so excited. I feel comfortable. The UFC, and I think another thing that helps too is knowing that it's going to be at the Apex Center with no fans. Everything about it seems different right now. It seems much more underground, which I've always done really well on regional shows. I've always performed well when, there's not a big hoopla around it. And I'm excited to get back to the fans, especially now in the UFC, to go out there and rock it. But I feel like it's a little bit easier now without them because the pressure is less. It just seems like it's not there. And you're kind of just in a big room with just a small audience, 10, 15 people watching you. So there's no pressure, man. And even with the pressure, I welcome the pressure. I say pressure pressure is a privilege and an honor. You know, I mean, somebody gives a shit about what you're doing.
So the timing just seems perfect right now, not just because of what you just said, but your team over at Factory X is just riding this damn good wave of momentum after Fight Island with Royval and Vendramini. James Krause just got to win. I know Yusuf took his first UFC loss, but it was a fun fight because he's such a gamer. Alex Hernandez is on this card with you as well. His first fight under the Factory X banner. What's the vibe like over there right now?
Dude, the vibe is rocking. I mean, there's something special brewing over there at Factory X that we've had going for, a couple years now and even longer than that. Everybody, Coach was talking to us the other day and he was like, hey, man, I had one of you guys reach out to me and say Brandon changed his life in 2 fights. And Coach was like, you know what? You're wrong. Brandon changed his life, when he was 16 years old and he was riding his bicycle to the gym. And never missing a class. And even when he was injured, he'd be sitting on the sidelines taking notes. And, Brandon is that guy, man. He's going to be the champ at 125. And we all know it. We've all known it for years. Brandon knows it. And everybody else, just being surrounded by all those people, we say iron sharpens iron. And that's exactly what it is. It's so inspirational to watch those guys, to see your coach on TV every weekend, to see your teammates on TV and having success. It's just raising the bar and everybody's leveling up because now I want to go out there and outperform those guys, and then they're going to go out and outperform me and we just keep raising the bar and it's pretty cool, man.
How tired is Mark Montoya right now? I mean, the guy was on friggin' Fight Island for like a month, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think it was like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. But yeah, he came back. His schedule was all messed up, but he was still in the gym and he's happy to be home. We're happy to have him back. It's good to work with Coach, and he really is a great leader, man, a great mentor, a guy that when I fight, I do enjoy having, in my corner because I know just the way he looks at me, the way he talks to me. He's been through it. He knows what's going on and just a great guy.
So let's talk about the matchup because you're going to be facing Justin Ledet, a man who came into the UFC as a heavyweight. He was unbeaten in his first 10 fights. Then he makes a decision, despite the success, to drop down to 205. And since then, he hasn't been able to pick up a win. He's still a guy who's put a lot of guys away in his career. His back is against the wall here. How did you like the matchup when it was presented to you?
Yeah, when it was first presented to me, I was actually on the golf course. I got a call from Coach and my manager, and I had an interview. I was talking about this like a week ago, and he's like, well, how did you play after you got the call? And I couldn't remember. I was like, I know I probably lost focus a little bit. Well, a buddy of mine who I was with that I played with, he's like, dude, he's like, you don't remember? I'm like, what? He's like, you got the call. I got the call. We were on a tee box. On that hole, it was a par 5. I chipped in for eagle, and I ended up shooting in 80 that day. I was like, how did I forget that? But it was back in like middle August. So I wish during that interview I could have phoned a friend, and asked him. But I was like, man, if I get that opportunity again, I have to mention that. So I got the call, dude, and I was pumped. We had 2 groups, 7 other buddies, and I let them all know. Everybody's jumping, hooting, and hollering. We're having a great time. It was right after my last fight, so we were just having a really good time. And then I took later that day. I looked at Justin Ledet, started looking him up a little bit, and I absolutely loved the matchup. And I told Coach, man, like this is like a tailor-made matchup for me. And he's like, I know, that's why we accepted the fight. And with that being said, man, Justin Ledet, I mean, he's a gamer. Everybody in the UFC is tough. He's very good. He's good everywhere. He's a good boxer. He shoots takedowns. He's good on the ground. And he's a big guy. So, and you take all of that. The guy's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. He's fighting for his job. So I anticipate that I'm going to be fighting the most game, the most ready, the most skilled Justin Ledet that's went to the UFC Octagon. And I welcome that, man. I've been in the ring with some absolute killers, and I've had my time where I've taken some losses and I've taken some L's, and I think that's just hardened me over my career. And now I'm ready to go out there and end his career with the UFC and start mine.
Yeah, and to sort of touch on what you just said, because I mean, like you said, you've been a guy, you've had your ups and your downs in the combat sports world, and you've experienced a lot over the years. So having said that, I'm curious, is there more motivation heading into a fight coming off of a win or coming off of a loss, in your opinion? Well,
the old saying, like, your next fight's always your hardest fight. I think I think mentally, at least for me, whether I, lost my last fight or whether I won my last fight, I don't really think about that. I just think about what's next, what's ahead. I don't necessarily fight harder because I lost last time, and I don't fight easier because I won. I just I prepare for each fight, the way it's supposed to be. I prepare, and it's just about going out there and performing under the lights and executing during the time, the 15 minutes that you're allowed.
Have you always been like that?
No, I haven't, man. I guess I've never thought about wins or losses, but I just feel like I just prepare much better these days. I'm a little older. I'm 32. I'm more mature in my career. And I look at it more like a job. There's things that must be done in order to check the boxes and win the fights. Sometimes you don't have choices. Like you just don't. I mean, if you want to succeed and you want to win, you can't go one way. There's only one line, and you have to check those boxes, and you don't have choices. You got to do what it takes.
In a weird way, I feel like this is kind of not completely, but kind of like a deja vu fight from the Flores fight, because Justin's a very durable guy. Like, he got finished by a ridiculous combination from Johnny Walker, like the hook kick into a spinning back fist combination. But that's the only time he's been put away in his career, and he's been in trouble a few times. I know you're going to go in there and you're going to look for the highlight reel finish, but did the experience of your Contender Series fight, hitting Ty with everything but the kitchen sink and somehow him still going the full 15, does that give you a nice little boost knowing that, hey, if I don't get him out of there quick, I'm good for 15 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is, with Ty Flores, it was a huge opportunity. It was like a statement to get back to the UFC, to make my mark, to show Dana White that I was ready. And, that entire day I wasted a lot of energy. And with this fight, I'm going to be much more calm. I'm going to be much more poised. I'm certainly going to try to put him out because that's what I do at every fight I fight. I go for the knockout. I go for the finish. But if the fight does go 15 minutes, I think I'm going to be more reserved. Not that I'm going to hold back. I just, I've just been preparing, a little bit more. I guess you could say I've really focused on my cardio. And like you said, I know Justin's a tough guy. I know he's very durable. And, you look at those losses, those are to some top name guys, some high level guys. So I'm excited to push the pace with them. I'm certainly going to be trying to finish the fight and going all out, going for broke, but it's going to be in a much more poised manner.
What's cool about this card as well is you're on the same card with Anderson Silva, who was the middleweight champion the first time you were in the UFC. And according to Dana White, and I think he confirmed it himself earlier this week, this is going to be the final fight of Anderson Silva's career. So what does that mean to you to be on this card, sharing it with Anderson Silva, knowing that this could be the very last time he steps into that cage?
Oh, man, it's awesome just to be in the presence of Anderson Silva, the GOAT. When I first started this sport, he was the guy that, just blew your mind every time he stepped in there, and everybody wanted to be like him. And I always looked up to him, and to be able to be, in the same fighter meeting as him and in the same presence as him. And now an opportunity to go perform him. I'm not fighting him, but I want to steal the show. I want to be the talk of the night. I want to be the guy that everybody's talking about, the new light heavyweight prospect that just stirs up the whole pot. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super motivational. And if it is his last fight, man, what a career. Hats off to Anderson. I can't wait to, pay my respect to the guy and shake his hand and meet him. And what's sad is that, if it is his last fight, it'll be in an arena with no fans. That'll be kind of a bummer for him especially. But, I feel like that would be just kind of, I don't know, it's different. 2020 has been different.
I know DC and Anderson Silva both having their last fights and no fans.
I couldn't imagine doing that because the crowd, there's something that unless you've done it, and especially on that level with that many people and under those kind of lights and circumstances, there's nothing better than making that walk and just hearing the crowd and everybody going nuts and seeing the people and just all the emotions and excitement and the people booing you and the people cheering for you. And it's just awesome, man. So hopefully my last fight won't be at the Apex Center. It'll be in front of an audience, but what can you do?
So you mentioned this is, interesting times. 2020 has just been, let's be honest. I mean, it's been a great year career-wise for you because you're back in the UFC, but overall it's been kind of a sucky year. But did you enjoy, because I watched a video earlier this morning, did you enjoy giving yourself the nose swab COVID test? How would you describe that feeling? Because sure, you have to do it yourself and you could half-ass it, but if you get it wrong, then you have to do it again.
I know, man. That's what I'm worried about because we're on a Zoom call. And when I first got it, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just have somebody else do this? And I send it in and like, you're on a Zoom call. I'm like, oh man, you're right. But I go and I do it and it's just miserable because anything that goes up my nose, like I sneeze instantly. I just can't stand it. So I don't know if I got high enough. I don't know if, I got deep enough in there. Who knows? And like you said, if I have to do it again, that's going to suck. But, man, it's not enjoyable. I'd much rather do the mouth swab.
So how do we get this thing done on Halloween? You're doing this for a reason. You're sticking swabs up your nose to get the victory. Maybe do some bonus hunting. UFC's first event back in Vegas. How do you give the company a happy homecoming on Halloween?
Man, I'm gonna go out there and just be me. I'm gonna fight hard. I'm gonna fight fast. I'm gonna be first. That's another thing with Ledet. I anticipate him to come out and go, but he is kind of a slow starter. He is kind of a guy that he doesn't strike first. I feel like he's capable of it, but he holds back a little bit from what I've seen, and hopefully he comes out firing, and we get that fight of the night bonus. But I know I'm going to strike first. I know I'm going to go after him, and I'm going to look for the finish, man. And if I get it, awesome. And if I don't, I know it's going to be the best 15 minutes that everybody's seen of me. And, I'm prepared, man. I'm ready to do this.
I got Cobra Kai vibes by you saying strike first. I don't know if you've watched the Netflix show at all.
I started watching it. I watched like the first 2 episodes, but I need to get back and finish it, man. I'm terrible about Netflix. I always start a show. After 2 or 3 episodes, I start something else, and then I've got like 20 different shows I'm watching, and I lose track. And it's hard to keep up with. Yeah,
wait till after the fight, because once you get to like episode 4 and 5, you're not gonna be able to stop. So get that rest.
Okay, and that's what everybody said too. It's like the Harry Potter books. I remember back in junior high, everybody's reading Harry Potter, and I remember I read like the first 70 pages. I was like, not for me. And then I went back to it and I read the next 6 books. Like as soon as they came out, it was an addiction. Like I had her every single night. The only books at that time in my life and until really this year that I had read. I mean, I don't know what it was, man. I was addicted.
Well, I'm excited for the card, man. Excited for the return. Really excited to see you make that walk to the Octagon once again. Nearly 9 years in the making, Dustin. Really appreciate the time as always. Glad we got to link up again. And congrats on the chip and eagle, man. I haven't been able to experience that in my golf career yet.
Oh, man, it was so much fun. And I remember when I did it, like I was just like running around, soaring my arms like an eagle, and everybody's kind of screaming and yelling. And it was a lot of fun. But what's really cool about, I made my Octagon debut October 29th, 2011.
Oh,
and here right. I am, October 31st, coming back, making that walk 9 years later, man. So, oh, man, it's emotional. I'm excited, dude. Like I've been saying, I'm running down a dream. So I'm pumped.
The universe is lining up in a lot of ways for you, man. This is,
oh, yeah.
It's Kismet personified. Appreciate it, Dustin. All the best to you in the fight, man.